One.
Hi, welcome to your Best Bet podcast, a podcast where we discuss the week's sports golf events and give our picks for the current week's events. Topics for this week will be Spieth's win at the RBC. We'll do an over-under on career majors for 8, 9, 10 guys. We'll talk about Tiger and Phil discussing our entering the U.S. Open, more so on just the fact that everybody seems excited about Tiger and less so about Phil. Has Phil ruined his image permanently? We'll discuss what our opinions are on the worst tournaments on the PGA Tour schedule, possible formats that can fix those tournaments, and then we'll do a rundown of the Zurich Classic bets. Joining me tonight are Johnny Strasser and Phil Miller. Johnny, how are we?
Well, other than the sleet storm that we just got outside here in mid-April, I'm doing pretty good. And congratulations on your first job hosting here. I'm glad to see some a new voice here to finally take down Phil's reign of terror that he's had on here for the past year plus.
Well, thank you for that. I have some shoes to fill. Phil, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's first of all, it's really odd to be on the other side of the coin here. I'm already enjoying it to not have to lead into every segment and transition and set up like a point guard like Chris Paul last night when he just decimated the New Orleans Pelicans. I played golf yesterday. I did not play golf today because it was much worse today as opposed to yesterday, which was actually not even that great. But guys, in like 5 days, it's going to be 80 degrees. So there's I guess something to look forward to on the horizon, but it feels far away as we're recording this.
Yeah, I think we have a Three Rivers Tour event coming up on Saturday at Autumn. I'm unable to play, but I do believe Johnny, I saw he's playing. Phil, are you playing?
I'm not in the field this week. No, I will be out. So Johnny's going to be representing the podcast, and I'm sure he's going to get himself into contention and hopefully bring one home.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing it, and we'll be rooting for him. Let's start out with Spieth's win. 5-under round, his final day. 5 strokes gained on the field off the tee, which is unlike him. So my question is, if we see this going forward, is this going to bring him back into stardom? Johnny?
This was one of the wackiest ways of a player winning. I mean, since 2010 is what I saw is he had the worst putting performance by a player on the PGA Tour to win an event. And he lost 2.5 strokes to the field. That shows you how well he hit the ball. And at a course like Harbor Town, that's really tight and very demanding with your short irons. I mean, that's what you've got to do. You got to hit a lot of good iron shots. You got to get the ball close. And he putted so bad, but I just can't believe how well he's striking it right now. And he missed a couple of little kick-ins there, just some careless putts. Thought that was going to end up knocking him out of the events there, but his golf swing right now is really good. And one thing I did want to bring up at the top there is everybody kind of sees that pre-swing rehearsal that he does, where he takes the club all the way back, takes a full backswing, and kind of comes over the top of it and everything like that. Well, he's the method at which why he's trying to do that is to kind of lay the club off, get it more where he's not across the line. That is turning out to be the new way to swing it. He's flattening out the swing a little bit, and it's working out really, really well. And if he can kind of continue this dominant way of ball striking here, and if he can just catch up with the putter just a little bit there, there's no telling how many events he could win this year. I would expect at least 1, maybe 2 more, if not that, if he can keep that up.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like there are multiple players throughout history that have made swing changes and it's taken them a couple years and they've gone through lulls. Tiger's done it a few times. Phil, do you think that's something we could be seeing here?
I don't know. I'm a little less optimistic than Johnny. I saw something on Data Golf that said if this statistically this tournament with Spieth strokes gained to the field in this tournament, that this normally would win 5% of PGA Tour tournaments. His strokes gained this week. He was very fortunate to win this golf tournament. When he posted at 13 under with that birdie on 18, I didn't think it was going to be enough. I thought Shane Lowry was going to win this tournament. When he finished up, it certainly seemed like Lowry's. And then I thought it was going to be Patrick Cantlay. I even thought it was going to be Sepp Straka. You just saw these myriad of guys just drop off for some reason, one or the other. Lowry with an incomprehensible double on 14, chip it into the water. Cantlay can't make birdie on 18. Straka makes a bogey on 18. Harold Varner III does what Harold Varner III always does, which is come close but not come through in the clutch. Sorry, HV3, love you, but got to see it at some point. I just don't know what to take from this tournament because I think he was very fortunate to win. Now you could say he should have won by 2 or 3. He missed the 18-inch putt Saturday. He missed 2 putts inside 4 feet on Sunday, and still won. So maybe that's a hallmark to what he's been doing with his ball striking and showed how good it was. He was first in a tee to green this week. I just need to see more, I guess. I think there was some fortune here. It felt like a T3 or T4, and it just happened to back into a win. I will say, Dylan Deshay on Twitter, golf writer I really like, he said it so perfectly. He said, no one makes it look like Jordan Spieth does. He makes the easy look impossible, and he makes the impossible look easy. And that felt so true this weekend, did it not?
I agree. I don't think he has that classically beautiful swing, but when he's on, he is just on. Some other takeaways for me from that tournament, just on a personal standpoint, I'm starting to feel a little bit more vindicated by my Kuchar love from last year that wasn't panning out. A top 3, I'm feeling good about that. Lowry is continuing to play well, which, could go well. He's a guy that plays difficult golf courses well. So if he can keep that going into the US Open in a couple months, that could really spell well for him. He's not a PGA championship guy for me, but he's definitely obviously a British Open and a US Open guy for me. And then Fleetwood, top 10, maybe starting to play a little bit better. Do you guys have any takeaways or disagree with me on any of those 3?
Well, I do agree. I mean, we talked about last week on the show, we did talk about Matt Kuchar. I think we did pinpoint him for a top 10, top 20. He traditionally, Harbour Town is a golf course that you either see it and you play it well, or you don't see it, you don't like the lines, and you just struggle at it and avoid it and everything. And you look at the past champions who've won there multiple times and have had success, and Matt Kuchar's always had that. So I do agree there. Shane Lowry, though, that kind of bothered me on how he played on the back 9 there. Like he started out shaky, like he topped his second shot on 2, and then he played 3 just terribly. And 14, though, was just unimaginably bad. When I played there last year, we had the very similar pins because they kept the Sunday pins there 2 days after when I had played it. And that area, that back corner there's no way to stop the ball. And when you're in that sandy area that he was in, you've just got to chip it out to the middle of the green, just hit it onto the rough, give yourself 25 feet to maybe make it. The greens aren't overly undulating there, so you can make putts, and they weren't that fast compared to a lot of other golf courses. So I'm hoping that was just kind of a dumb stretch of golf, because he played pretty well for the most part for the tournament. But that's just something that you can't do with a lead there, is after you hit that shot, you got to take your medicine, take 4. You're tied for the lead at that point, and you still have a chance. But what was interesting, though, is everybody, Spieth kind of posted early because he was 6-7 groups in front of the leaders there, and they all had their chances. I mean, 15, the par 5 was reachable. None of them ended up birdieing in the last couple of groups there. to take the lead there. And, it wasn't that windy. So it was just one of those things that I'm kind of shocked by it all that we didn't see. Because usually, Phil, I talk to you about it and I say, what number is going to win? What's a playoff? What's a win? And I thought 14 was a playoff, 15 was going to win it outright. And it didn't seem to be the case there, because they just, nobody really took charge, made putts and hit great shots down the stretch like like we were expecting that Sunday morning.
Yeah, and to echo
any thoughts?
Yeah, to echo what Johnny said, I was troubled with Lowry as well. I think we should be talking about a 2-time winner on tour this year. Should have won Honda. Should have won this tournament. Honda, you could argue he got that stolen from him a little bit more than this week, where he really didn't play that well on the back nine. We saw some questionable swings on 12 and 13. He really made some nice scrambling pars, but the bottom fell out on 14. He's played such good golf this year, and he played great last week at the Masters, and it feels like this should end with a win, but sometimes that doesn't happen. You see guys get on these heaters we talk about, but it would be disappointing to see him not win. I know Johnny had him in his best bets last week, and he did bet him, and I know he was disappointed with that. Yeah, we did mention Cooch last week, Zach. We did. I mean, he deserved some recognition based on his record here, and I gotta give it to you. He's had a T2 at Valero and now a T3 at RBC. So Kuchar's he's showing out. Actually, you'll be proud to know that I argued he should have been the President's Cup captain this year over Davis Love III. I said that this week in a text to Johnny. So if we need to quote it, we'll post the text. Because I just don't get why DL3 is doing this. He's been a 2-time Ryder Cup captain. Why not give this job to Stuart Sink or Matt Kuchar, who's never going to be captain of a Ryder Cup team? But President's Cup is perfect. You're arguably going to be captaining the best President's Cup team in history at an extreme home field advantage this year at Quail Hollow. I don't understand why Sink and Kuchar got passed over. That's just a bit of a tangent. What else this week? I did not bet Justin Thomas. I've quit Justin Thomas for the foreseeable future. And you know what? It felt good. I didn't worry about him all week. And he posted like a T33. I think we have to start kind of signaling out the alarms on him. Like what's going on? This guy should have won by now this year. With bones on the bag. That's really all my takeaways is. What do you guys think of Spieth for St. Andrews?
I think that, what was it? Was the last time it was at St. Andrews in 2015?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the year that he was trying to win 4 in a row or had gotten close.
It would have been the third leg of the Grand Slam.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, he still had a chance going into 17 and 18. And I mean, it's not a course that you can overpower it, obviously, but it still gives possibilities for the guys that don't hit it as far. So, if he hits the ball as well as he did last week and then gets his putting back together, I think he can win any tournament. But there are guys that I would put ahead of him in that situation, but I don't hate him. Johnny?
Love Spieth for this event. I think he is your perfect American player, British Open auto bet guy. He rarely finishes outside the top 15. I mean, I don't know. I don't have his record up to or where I could bring it up or anything, but I mean, he seems to be always in contention here. And this is a good setup for him, St. Andrews, where he could get kind of wild and get kind of crazy out there, and that's fine. I mean, he's there's certain golf courses I think out there where would not really favor his driving, but I mean, give me Jordan Spieth, and if you like playing future bets, I think he's definitely got to be on ticket. And he's probably lost a little bit of value with the win this week, but monitor his number, and I'm going to have him on my card.
Yeah, I think. Last piece on this. I don't like Spieth for the U.S. Open. at Brookline. I don't like him for the PGA at Southern Hills, but I do think he's got a legitimate chance at St. Andrews. Of course, he's played well at the Open. Obviously, he won in 2017. He finished runner-up last year at the Open. I feel like the Open fits his creative ability. More than like a PGA or US Open now, where it's more bomb and gouge. You got to have length. It's just turned into a Rahm, Brooks Koepka, DJ type event, the US Open and PGA. But the Masters and the Open, I think for Spieth going forward are just going to be really, good bets. Obviously he missed the cut at the Masters last week, but I really think he's got a legitimate chance. And I did see him at 25-1. On PointsBet yesterday, but that was before he actually won. So I'm sure that's down to under 20-1 for the Open. But yeah, I think Spieth's definitely got value. I'm with Johnny on that one.
That kind of morphs into our next category perfectly. This came to form because I had listened to a podcast that I was not on and Mark Finicky was on, and it made mention that I had said that Colin Morikawa was going to win 10 majors. So we've had some discussions on this topic along with other people, and I would like to just go over what I think over-unders would be on various players. So let's start out with Morikawa, who's 25 with 2 majors. I have an over-under of 5.5. Johnny?
Ooh, that's a good number there. I'm going to go over on that. I thought that this was going to be something like 8 or 9 that was going to be set. I'm thinking he'll probably be 6 to 7 is what I would predict. So I'd actually bet that over 5.5.
Phil?
Oh wow, 6 major championships. Do we know the number of guys that have won 6 major championships in golf? I'm gonna have to pull this up while we're talking.
It's under 20.
Actually, there's only 11 guys that have won 7 or more. 14 guys have won 6 or more. I hate that's a great number. I'm gonna go under because I've referenced this a couple times, and we've seen this again with Rory, and we've seen this again with Spieth, and now we're seeing it with Brooks. Guys get on these little heaters, they win a bunch in a couple of years, and then for whatever reason, it tapers off. I have a theory that the younger guys come out and they win them, and then something happens, and it's just for whatever reason that those losses scar you in a way where it makes it tougher to win going forward. We know what happened to Spieth at the 2016 Masters, and Zach, I know we said we weren't going to go too long on one player, so I'll wrap it up quickly. This one's a tough one though. Spieth hasn't been the same. He did win the 2017 Open, but I think we've seen how hard it is now to kind of get back to where he was during that time frame where he should have won 3 Masters probably, right? And he's only got 1. So I'm going to go under on Morikawa. I think he probably ends up with 5. It's really hard to project at age 25 when he's got 15 good years left, though.
All right, so let's go into your age issue here. And let's take a 32-year-old Rory who has 4 majors, over under 5.5.
I'm going to go over on Rory. And 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said something different. I think I've said at some point, Rory's never going to win another major, but I said this last week in the pod with Johnny that I saw something or at the Masters that I feel like Rory unlocked in himself. I feel like he started to believe in who he was as a player, and who he is as a player is good enough to win a bunch more majors. So I think he probably ends up at 6. I think he's a historically a great player, generational player. I think he probably ends up at 6 where Mickelson's at.
Johnny?
Yeah, I originally was thinking under that, but I got to agree. I mean, you look at some of the players who have won 6, and I think he's a little bit better. And I know the fields and the overall talent's just better than it was a little bit ago. But yeah, I think he's going to somehow get to 6, and that feels like a good number for him.
I would go over as well. 27-year-old Jon Rahm, 1 major, over under 3.5. Johnny?
Ooh, over under 3.5. I'll go under just because we can't keep giving out majors here. I mean, talent-wise, you look at it, but you just look at his you just look at his volatility. Sometimes his putting right now is, and he won't admit it, is so bad right now. It's so bad. His stroke is just, there's so many flaws to it right now. And if this is going to be, if this is going to be bad putting Jon Rahm, and hopefully we don't see this for much longer, I would put it just on the under.
Phil?
Hammer the under on Jon Rahm. There's something missing there to me, and I know he just won the U.S. Open. I think he's not. I don't want to say he peaked last fall, but I don't know if we'll see that version of him again. It's really hard to play and sustain that type of golf long term. We've seen it with a number of guys that have reached that level: Rory, DJ, Spieth, JT. It just comes and goes. 2 to 3 seems like a reasonable number where I think he'll end up.
I agree. I would take the under on him. 31-year-old
Zach, where did you land on Morikawa?
Over.
For sure. Okay.
Over 5.5.
Okay.
Over on Rory as well, under on Rahm. 31-year-old Brooks Koepka, 4 majors, 5.5.
I'm going under. If you win, you could probably, if you put it at 4.5 for me, I would probably play the under as well on that. I think he's just kind of done with the major championships. I think he's kind of run his course and played great golf up until that point, but it's just too much in his head now.
I hear
you. Agree 100% with what Johnny said. I would take it at 4.5 as well. I think it's a hard thing to see at this point, and the more time goes along, it's even harder. So I'm with you guys there. Under.
I think I take the under at 5.5, the over at 4.5. Let's go with Jordan Spieth, 28 years old, 4.5.
I'm going to take the over. I don't know if I'd lay money on that though. He's all over the place, and I think he's going to be one where if he can get rid of the Augusta scars, which that may or may not ever happen, it's going to be like what Tiger kind of is right now. Tiger's basically he can see himself winning at Augusta and winning the Open Championship, and that's it. He can't compete at the PGA, can't compete at the US Open. But I think that's one of those things that at least Jordan's got, that is that you're always going to see him in contention. I don't over because we've got to pick it, but that's a stay away. Don't even touch that. If I'm really putting money that matters to me on it.
I think 5 feels right, but yeah, I don't feel great about it. I do feel like he's got to win another Masters. He just plays that golf course so well, and the fact that he only won 1 between 2014 and 2018 when he could have won 3 is kind of astounding. It feels like he's won more than 1. And I just go back to what I said earlier. I think the Masters and the Open, he could win one of those up until the age of 40, 45. And I don't love him at the other 2. I don't think he'll ever win the Grand Slam, but I could see him getting to 5 based on the Masters and the Open.
I would take the over on that. Let's go 28-year-old Justin Thomas, 1 major, 3.5. This one was hard for me because, I've always been a Justin Thomas lover, just like you, Phil, and I would have hammered the over. This one was difficult for me. I wrote down like 4 different numbers on this. So 3.5.
Oh man, that's a good one. It's a really good one. It's disappointing that we can't set it higher than that. I think that's a perfect number. And I mean, last week Johnny and we did a full JT what the fuck. I mean, again, I go back to how you can, and Zach, I don't know if you saw what JT said, how you can say after your first round of the Masters when you shot 76 that you got there and you just kind of just weren't feeling it. Like, I don't get that. I don't get that. I made the comparison, like when we play the city championship, we're so amped up for the Fort Wayne City Championship, and to not feel that way for the Masters really bothered me. And I thought JT was wired like Tiger like, and maybe he's not, and that's okay. But now knowing that, I think I have to go under. I think probably 2 or 3. But his major record is abysmal. It's abysmal.
Wow. I can't blame you. This one's going to go over. We're going to write this guy off. He's going to figure it out. He's just, he at some point is too good. Right now, in his playing prime, when he should be winning one a year almost, it's just not happening. He's not winning many events, but I think this is a process that he's reached a certain level of tournament play, and he's got to get that grit and grind that Tiger always had when he didn't have his best stuff in a major. That I'm banking on the fact that he's gonna figure that out at some point. He's still got into his 30s where he's gonna end up being a pretty high level player. He's not big, but he doesn't have to be. But he hits it. He's got every shot. It's going to happen. It's just we're just going to have to wait longer. We thought this was going to be 8, 9, 10 majors. I think it's going to end up being 4.
I think I take the over on this, but I don't think it's much more than 4 if it's anything. We got 2 more. 25-year-old Scotty Scheffler, one I put 4.5. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I think you could set this at 2.5 and take the under. If he wins one more, which I don't even know if he's ever going to lose again, but I'm kind of banking on the fact that he will lose a tournament at some point. But this is as good as he's ever going to play, and his good is obviously better than anybody's currently right now. So there's that. But as the number 1 ranking, as a top player, as a former guy who's won a major now, I think it's going to be maybe one more major at some point in his career. But I think we're kind of seeing peak Scheffler. I hope he can win more than that, because I think he's a pretty likable guy and everything. But I don't see it.
I'm on board with that. I think maybe one more at some point, like a PGA, when he's 2-3 years down the road. But I don't know, maybe he just keeps this thing going. What's so impressive is we talked about last week, that Scheffler just seems to figure out how to get the ball in the hole, and it sounds really corny kind of, but it's what JT isn't doing and hasn't done in majors, and Scheffler just continues to do. I got one more JT stat. Sorry, can I go back to this?
Yeah, absolutely.
25 major starts as a professional. Can you guys guess how many top 10s he has in majors?
You said how many major starts?
25 major starts as a pro.
3.
Okay, you really
I will say 5.
You really lowballed it, Johnny. It's 6, but that's a really shocking number.
That's
for him. It is. Yeah,
it's way too low for a guy of that talent level. But yeah, I'm under on Scheffler as well. I think this is a really fun ride, but I don't know if he'll ever play this well again as a pro, or at least have the results look like this.
Okay, and I left the last one. This is for Phil. Both of you can answer, but specifically for Phil. Xander Schauffele, 28, 0 majors, 0.5.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, that is a good
that's
one.
a really good one.
Johnny, go ahead.
Under. Under. I just under. I think he just has that attitude that is good in a lot of ways, but not in a major. I mean, you can't be super aggressive, but you got to have that kind of want to just tear somebody's throat, a type of that type of mentality that you just want to dominate. And just I've never seen that from him. I still think he's wired that way. So sadly, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does win one, but if my money's on something, I'm gonna go conservative and go under.
I'm gonna shock you, and I'm gonna say over. I think the law of averages for him. You say he's 28, is that right?
28, yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's going to be pretty much in every major we would think for the next 10 years. And as Johnny referenced earlier, these stars that we just talked about, they can't win them all. I mean, we can't have Rory at 7, Colin Morikawa at 7, and Jordan Spieth at 7. So there's going to be guys that come up and win 1. I would give him 1. I think at some point he'll win 1. I got a better question. Who wins 1 first, Xander, Cantlay, or Will Zalatoris?
Cantlay.
Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
And I have a line on him too, but I didn't say his name.
I got Willie Z. Just hits it too well, and I don't know. I think he can. I'm just gonna say he can figure out the putting.
I think Cantlay's got the most complete game, and he's the guy that I would trust to make the putts in a major. But Johnny and I'm interested in your take, Zach. Last week we talked about if we could put a 10-year bet on Zalatoris to win a Masters, we would do it. I mean, it just feels like he's made for that golf course.
He hits the ball very high. He hits it straight.
You're not as high on it. I can sense it.
I would pick no, but I mean,
Wow.
I'm not as high on Zalatoris as what you guys are. So I think there's some players that obviously you guys are not as high on Morikawa as what I am. So Zalatoris is a guy that I like. I like his personality. I like him as a player. I just, the putting bothers me, and personally I have the same issue, so I have no room to talk, but I just think that there are guys that when it comes down to it, they're going to beat him by 1 or 2 shots at a time. And that's why I would, if I had to put money on a 10-year bet, I would say no. You got guys like Spieth, you got guys like JT that are good at that golf course. And I know we're talking trash about JT, but he's good at that golf course. I do think eventually Rory's going to win a Masters there. So you're talking about 3 right there that I have to eliminate him from. I just think there's people that are better there than what he is. He's very good there, but
Zach hates Will Zalatoris. Cool.
don't hate him. I seem to have a much more, and I don't want to call it a dislike, but for Scotty Scheffler, I just don't ever want to pick him. I don't, and I like him. I like it, the whole personality that he has. But if we look back on the times, I don't think I've ever put his name down as one of my top picks. We've always talked about him, and I've always said that he's going to break through at some point. But as a top pick, I don't think I've ever put him down.
I did at Phoenix, and then you guys criticized me for doing it. I just want to go back to that.
I understand. I'm wrong a lot.
Can I put one more out there? Does
Absolutely.
DJ at 2.5?
I put him at 3.5 and then scratched him out because I couldn't pick 13 names.
Just this is a bonus.
He has 2.
Does he? Yeah. Does he win
If
one
you,
more?
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I
I would put absolutely.
Oh man, I think he wins at Augusta again.
Mhm.
I think he's got one more maybe in the next 5 years.
Yeah, he's a British Open guy too.
See, I was going to say U.S. Open. I still feel like he's a U.S. Open guy. I haven't looked completely at the next 5 years of U.S. Opens, but he is 38, right?
37.
37. I mean, he's getting up there. I didn't love what I saw from him at the Masters when he got into contention. It just seems like his ball striking is just not as trustworthy, and he can't make a putt right now either. But yeah, these things are volatile. We know how good he is, so you could be right, and I hope you're right, because I think again, I'm really big on this. This guy's a 25-time tour winner. I mean, he should have 3 or 4, and I hope he gets there.
Agreed. All right, moving on to the Tiger and Phil discussion, and more so, I just kind of want you guys' opinions on, your level of excitement for Tiger versus Phil announcing that he wants to play in the U.S. Open, and then I remember a time period where it was cool to hate Tiger and cool to love Phil, and now is that changed, and has Phil just irreparably ruined his image, where now all those people that thought that he was this great guy finally saw him say something that didn't quite meet up with their feelings, and now they're going to bail on him. So Johnny, how do you feel about that?
Well, first, I think them putting in their applications was just due diligence. I mean, they got to register for the event, pending the USGA accepting the application. So they're doing this. This is just the standard paperwork. So whether they do play in the events or not is obviously still up for debate. From whether they want to play in it or not. I don't know if they're going to play in them. I mean, I don't know. I'm still convinced that we're going to see Phil Mickelson in London in June at that first the live event. I think that's where he's going. I think that's it. And whether they're going to allow him the USGA and the RNA and everything is going to allow him to play in the other events, I don't know. But I think that's where we're going to see him pop up. And then whether he's allowed to play in the US Open, if he is, I think he plays in it. After that, as far as Tiger, I'm going to predict he's not going to play in it, but it really depends on if he plays at Southern Hills, because if he thinks, I'd be shocked if he thinks he could win a US Open right now. He might still kind of think he can, maybe in a year or two, but there's talks. I saw a couple tweets today that he was telling Jack Nicklaus, I'm going to hurt this year. I'm going to hurt next year. I'm going to hurt the year after. So why not just suck it up and everything? He hit the ball. He's swinging it well and hit far enough. And I think if he got the reps, but the problem is if he's only going to play in PGA and then, potentially the US Open, just the major championships, he may not end up doing it. But it is exciting to see that they both are in it. They're both, considering it. I hope they do. I mean, I kind of love Mickelson in the US Open just because of how much he hates the event. I think the event kind of hates him, with all the stuff that's going on in the last 25 years there. So, it's interesting. I'm hoping, I'm optimistic, but we could easily not see either one of them. And I think right at this point, it's kind of too early to tell to see what's at. We got to look at what's going to go on here with the PGA Championship first.
Phil?
Yeah. What's the betting odds? PGA, US Open, or Live Golf event? What's the favorite? It's like PGA minus 150, Live Golf plus 100. I don't know. Isn't it funny? The next time we might see Mickelson would be at the Live Golf event, locked arm in arm with Greg Norman, Kevin Na, and Jason Kokrak. I mean, is that what we're going to be seeing at like an introductory press conference, wherever the hell that first event is? Is it in?
It's in London.
It's in London.
That's right. I mean, this thing is so funny to me. It gets weirder and weirder, and Greg Norman's just he's such a cartoon character at this point. I love it. I love when more details come out, because it just feels like now there's going to be a bunch of Corn Ferry guys and they're going to make a shit ton of money off of one event. I mean, it's going to be, I can't wait to see the insanity of it. But I want to go back to Mickelson. Zach, you mentioned about him kind of obviously going through this tough stage and just kind of being unlikable. And can he get back? I think yes. He's just got to shut his mouth and stop saying dumb shit. I mean, this is like PR 101, right? Like, how do you fix a wrong? Well, you don't come out and make an apology that's actually apologizing to the Saudis. I mean, you just say, or mask it as, I'm trying to grow the game. If I have to hear another PGA Tour pro talk about growing the game, I'm going to lose my mind. I mean, it's such a nothing statement. I've heard Morikawa say it. I've heard other young guys say it. And when this was more exploratory, the Saudi golf, I mean, it just feels gross when they say it, and it's not believable. But I think Mickelson can fix his reputation for sure. He just has to get back, or when he's in the public forum, it just act like you are sorry instead of sorry for being caught. And so we'll see if he can actually do that. As far as Tiger goes, I said it last week, and I said it before we went live, Zach, that if this is the version we're going to get, like we saw Sunday, Saturday at Augusta, then I just don't know if I'm in for it. Tiger making me look stupid at St. Andrews when he finishes like T4 and he's in contention. That wouldn't shock me either. And Johnny, to go back to what you said, this could be just a checkbox that he's making sure he gets his entry in. So, if he wants to play, he can. But we also said that about Augusta like 3 weeks before, like, oh, his name's still on the entry list. And we're like, no way. So who knows? In his mind, maybe he's taking a couple weeks off post Augusta, and then he's going to start building for Southern Hills PGA and then Brookline. I'm fascinated to see how it all goes with both those guys, though.
To kind of expand on the Mickelson thing, something I've been thinking about. I know that the Masters came out and said that they didn't uninvite him, but do we really believe that Mickelson voluntarily missed the Masters? I mean, do you guys really think that there wasn't somebody behind him saying either it's better in your interest to look contrite and not go, or did somebody tell him, hey, if you don't go here, don't create a scene, maybe we'll look better upon you? I just can't see him voluntarily missing it just to feel better about himself.
Yeah, do we think the Riddler, Fred Ridley, had some conversation with Mickelson? I don't know how to feel about it, because Tiger came back in 2010 to a huge scandal, right? I mean, was what Mickelson did worse? I don't know. So I don't know if they would have said don't come back. I'm not sure. Johnny?
I don't. It's hard to tell what Phil Mickelson does and why he does it. I think obviously we've probably all read rumors and articles and whatever. I think he's extraordinarily. He's really hard to. He's just hard to tell what he's thinking, what he's doing. I don't know if he's fake. I don't know, whatever. I have a hard time believing that Augusta told him not to show up. I think this is his people, his agent, his lawyers, or whatever. They have basically said you need to kind of disappear here, and I think out of respect, for the Masters, instead of it being a total shit show, because I think this is gonna. I'm sure this type of, I guess, scandal, or this type of, whatever news is different, and possibly, I guess, worse, would be more of a media circus than what Tiger had to deal with, even though it really wasn't. I just think that it's just his people saying, no, we have to disappear. The people will love him soon. It's just, he's got to come back after that apology, that bullshit apology. And I just think he said, we'll skip the Masters. Who knows if we'll see him at the PGA? And I think this is his doing. But I mean, it's just really hard to tell, because to me, this isn't that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, he made just some god awful comments, but it's not like they were super offensive. I mean, sort of things where you just have a press conference. You let every reporter ask you questions. You get grilled for an hour, and America forgives really, really quickly. And seems to be, this damage control seems to be way more than I think what it should be.
I agree. I think that he's been vilified a little bit more than what he should for simply what was his opinion. And yeah, but moving on, I think that we're going to talk about, kind of a fun topic here that I've actually never discussed with anybody, which is worst tournaments on the PGA Tour schedule. And I will just go last on this. Do we have any volunteers to go first? I think we're going to have a bit of a disagreement on a particular event, so I'll let you two fight that out. Johnny, would you like to go first as the devil on Zurich's shoulder?
So this is just like worst events. Don't want to. That we just basically don't like.
No interest whatsoever.
Okay.
Events that do not tickle your fancy whatsoever.
Okay. I mean, there's a couple of them, and this is what we're eventually going to lead into. It is this week's tournament, the Zurich Classic here, which has never really had that great of a field. It's just always been kind of a forgettable event. I personally am not a fan of it. I don't like the team golf format. I don't really want to see guys play a best ball and an alternate shot. I love it in the Ryder Cup. I love it in the President's Cup. It doesn't like excite me at all. And maybe just because I haven't really watched that much, but I got to thinking about it because we were talking about it, you and I, Phil, here not long ago. And I think it's more so I kind of judge an event, yes, the field, but also the golf course. If the golf course is not memorable for me, I don't really care to watch the event. And this one here it's actually got a decent field in it. So maybe I'm going to change my mind and everything. But like last year, I didn't bet it really much at all. I don't like the golf course, even though it's a Pete Dye golf course, but it just is very, non-memorable. So it's like this one here, and then the Byron Nelson Classic is the other one.
I had that on my list.
I know you did. They had it at that. What was the one golf course that was?
Oh God.
That they had it on there. Tony Romo's home course.
That was the Aaron Wise Classic. Yeah.
The Aaron Wise Classic. Yeah, that one was kind of garbage there. Most of the events, though, I do like because, I like watching PGA Tour golf. I like watching a lot of the golf courses that they play. But those two just kind of stick out at me.
Okay, so I get the hate for the Zurich as far as the golf course not being memorable. It feels like there's no memorable holes. It feels like I'm kind of big, like there feels like there's nobody out there when I watch the Zurich, like there's no crowd out there. It's kind of weird. You would think for a team event, like it's different. The crowd would be more into it, like a Phoenix type of atmosphere. Like if you're going to go all in on making this different, make it fun and get the crowd into it, I don't know. But I do like that it's different. It's not a stroke play event. You're pretty much what we see every week out here. A couple weeks ago, we saw the match play. So I like this. When you said that you don't like the team golf approach, I almost had a stroke in my basement here because you love the Ryder Cup, you love the President's Cup, but you're not into a team event for stroke play. I'm having a hard time understanding that. I'm with you though on Byron Nelson. It's in my top 3 worst. Craig Ranch. It's a really tough watch. The Valero from a couple weeks ago, I trashed that. That's also in my top 3. I don't hate Texas, but I hate both of those events in Texas. I'm also going to put the 3M Open up here as well, and it's just not a great event. It's a really, really bad field. I won money on Cameron Champ last summer, him winning that tournament, but other than that, it's a hard watch. I don't like the golf course. Johnny, I almost put the Rocket Mortgage in, but for your love of Detroit, I left it off.
I appreciate that. I thought you were going to say that. I was going to leave, but I'm staying on the podcast then.
But there's some bad ones, and I'm not counting the opposite field events, like the opposite field of like a major or a WGC, because I just don't think that's a fair comparison. But those would be my 3. I don't hate the Zurich like the both of you do. Like I said before, I respect your hatred, but I don't see totally eye to eye because I appreciate a little bit of a different vibe this week.
I can't say that I hate the Zurich. It's just that, as Johnny said, normally it doesn't have the greatest fields. Now, I looked through the field this week and it has some big names. So it could be more fun to watch. I'll probably give it a watch and see. I do like the first and third being best ball and the second and fourth being alternate shot. I think that alternate shot tends to bring the people playing best and the best team to the top. For me, and although I like the wraparound schedule, basically everything after the Tour Championship to the Tournament of Champions is not all that interesting to me. I think we had discussed that last year in the pod, that I kind of look at that as an opportunity for the guys that may not get points, later on in the year to get kind of a bump start to maybe make the FedEx Cup. So plus football's on, and I think that our kind of minds focused to football especially last year after we had, the 4 playoff events and then the Ryder Cup directly afterwards. I think that there was a little bit of greatness in golf. They kind of wore us out, in me for sure, to where I was kind of just more interested for at least a couple months just to not really pay attention to golf all that much, other than, for the podcast and kind of pay attention for football. So
we tore it up in the fall betting wise though.
We did. I mean, I can't say that we didn't pay attention and we didn't do well, but they aren't events that necessarily excite me, say like the beginning of the year or the Florida Swing or, obviously all the majors. To expand on that, what do you guys think maybe some possible formats for events? What would be different for the Zurich or format wise, or a different event or a new event altogether that you think would be interesting on the tour?
Okay, so I got a couple ideas on this one, and I'll be interested to hear what Johnny has to say. But I think a crossover event with the LPGA Tour would be really interesting, whether it's a pairing an LPGA Tour player with a PGA Tour player. I believe there was even a Euro Tour event where they had women and men in the same event. Some version of that. I'd be cool with just like a Zurich type format with just LPGA and PGA, just something like that, or even like a Corn Ferry Tour player and a PGA Tour player, just something way different. We've seen the Euro Tour go really deep into some weird stuff, and I kind of appreciate it. They had that sixes event where they play 6-hole matches and eliminate guys, and it was sort of an elimination style tournament, stuff like that. I also think you could take this week, like the Zurich Classic. I think maybe making it match play would be interesting, like a match play tournament. So kind of a combination of like WGC match play with the team event, and you have it's more of a Ryder Cup format, one-on-one team versus team, and doing a match play tournament would be kind of interesting as well.
Johnny?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea there. I think what they need to do, I just kind of bashed team golf, but
you did.
I didn't kind of, I did. Yes, you're right. But I think they could expand on it and just make it more interesting. I think Zurich should be a PGA and LPGA combination where they should have a male player and a female player on each team. It shouldn't be that. But what I would love to see for a team event, and would totally get me watching this, is to do for the 4 rounds, is to do a best ball, a worst ball, an alternate shot, and then a worst shot scramble. To see how good these guys really are. So like I was thinking, I was like, you'd have an official, rules of golf guy. He or she would be randomly assigned to a group, to two twosomes, and that person would choose which shot that they'd end up playing in the scramble. So you would really, really see how that would work. Tiger Woods is actually really famous when he was at Isleworth for playing those worst balls. When you shoot like a worst ball 60, mm-hmm. He does it at Medalist sometimes where he plays 2 balls around there and he takes the worst one. And I think that would be pretty cool there. But also give me your worst ball, worst score, team format like that. It's okay, but we see these guys shoot unbelievably good scores, which is fun to watch a lot of the time. But I mean, this would kind of, it kind of make it a little bit more of a play the hole out, because if a guy's in the water or something like that, he's gonna have to carry that team for that hole there. And I think something just to show a little bit of where they got a little bit of issues in a round there, rather than it's just if you just jump on a guy's back in a best ball match and he goes out and shoots 62, I mean, you really don't have to contribute that much. So I think something like that, and I would absolutely love to see something with the LPGA players to team up as well. I think that would be fantastic. Give them the opportunity to play in a PGA Tour event and to see how well they actually play side by side with the PGA Tour golfers.
I'd really like to see. I think the LPGA thing and the worst ball is a great idea. I hadn't thought about the worst ball, and I think that's a great idea. Really, the only thing that I can add, and this is a totally off the wall idea, and I don't even know how it would work logistically, but like 100-person WGC steeplechase event where you bracket it into 10-person 9-hole events, and then you take those 10 winners for a championship 9-hole event. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I think steeplechases, when I've been in them at Riverbend, it's been, they always have a steeplechase after the club championship, and it's just one of the most fun times that you can have intense golf. If people don't understand what a steeplechase is, it's say if you have 10 players for 9 holes, a player gets eliminated, the worst score gets eliminated every hole. If the worst score is a tie, then you have, say, a chip off or a putt off. I think that would be interesting to see. Again, I don't ever expect that to happen. I think logistically and time-wise, that may take far too long. But I think it'd be fun.
Oh, it'd be insanely fun. Imagine those guys we just talked about earlier in the major discussion in a steeplechase. I mean, you got like Scheffler chipping off with Morikawa to stay alive. I mean, that'd be insanely fun, right?
That would be awesome.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be fun. So, but again, I mean, you gotta have 100 people there because you got to be able to take it down to the final 10. So logistically, it would probably take 4 or 5 days, and then I guess the match play takes close to that long. So
yeah, it does.
All right, we can move on to the Zurich Classic, an event that one of the 3 of us is excited about, and see if we can make a little bit of money off of it. So last year's winners were Leishman and Smith. They are sitting at 10-1. Numbers all the way up to the 20-1 numbers would be Hovland and Morikawa at 6.5-1, Cantlay and Schauffele at 8-1, Palmer and Scheffler at 9-1, Leishman and Smith at 10-1, Burns and Horschel at 12-1, Fleetwood and Garcia at 16-1. Phil, do you like any of those pairings?
Yeah, I like a lot. Yeah, I like a lot of them on paper. I think this event it's kind of wonky because you get these name pairings and you're like, how in the world would Hovland and Morikawa ever lose to any of these guys as well as they hit the ball? You just can't see it. And then sometimes it just doesn't translate. I'm sure you guys have played in partner events. Johnny, I've played in partner events with you. And sometimes maybe the chemistry doesn't vibe like you think it's gonna happen the way it should. Hovland, Morikawa, of course, been amateurs, playing together for a long time. They seem like good buddies, great players, 2 top 5, 6 players right now. It doesn't feel like they'd lose, but you can't obviously bet them at that number. I don't think you can really bet any of the top 4 at that number. If I were to pick any one of the group, it would be Burns and Horschel. Horschel's got a great history at this golf course, won an individual event before it became a team event. And of course, Burns has been one of the 10, 15 best players in the world the last year with 3 wins. So I would probably start there, but I don't think I would actually bet anybody at the top this week under 20-1.
Johnny?
Yeah, that's a good point. These numbers are pretty short here, and they're like you said. If one guy goes out in a best ball, let's say Hovland and Morikawa, let's go. Morikawa goes out and shoots 71 or 72 in the best ball. These guys are going to get smoked. I mean, you're going to have to shoot 60, 61, 62 to just maintain with the pace there. I mean, we're going to see probably a couple scores in the 60s or in the 50s if the weather ends up holding there. So the golf course, TPC of Louisiana, it's a real long Pete Dye golf course. Strokes gained off the tee is going to be probably the most important one here. You got to be able to hit it pretty long. The fairways, I think, are generally pretty wide, but you've got to be able to get it in the fairway there. I saw that it was a pretty easy second shot golf course. And then the greens aren't too treacherous there. So, you know what, guys who good drivers of the golf ball. With that being said, you look at those the top numbers here. I don't love them, and I would agree. The Burns Horschel, I kind of really, really, really like that team, and that number's not bad at 12-1 there. But I'm going to mostly stay away from these because it doesn't seem like this is going to be one that we're going to see. One of the top teams that's going to end up taking this.
I agree with you guys on that. I think that the numbers are far too short here. The only team I agree with you guys on Burns and Horschel, but I still think even 12-1 is too short. So for me, if I was to bet anybody in this range, it would be Fleetwood and Garcia. Two good ball strikers. Fleetwood's playing better. So at that number, that would be the only one that I would even consider. But I agree with you guys. I think everybody is far too short at this number. Moving on from anything above 20-1 to let's say
Zach,
about, yeah.
Before we go on, can we talk about Ryan Palmer in this event?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
So can we figure out what is going on here? So when this event went to a team event in 2017, Jordan Spieth was the number one player in the world. Ryan Palmer was his partner, I think, for 2 years. He moves on to Jon Rahm, who I don't know if he was number one at the time, but he obviously has been number one, and they won. And now he's moved on to Scotty Scheffler, current number one. What is going on? We love Ryan Palmer on this podcast. We've talked about it a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe all these other guys love Ryan Palmer for a reason. I have no idea why that would be. That's all.
I mean, maybe he's the underground nicest guy on tour, and they just all love to be around him. I don't know, but
that's weird.
I would say he's kind of the ugly guy in high school, but he's a nice personality and everything like that. And he just, he secretly just goes in there, asks the hot girl to go to prom, and she hasn't had the chance to be asked by anybody else. So she's like, he's a nice guy. So I'll go ahead and go to prom with him. I think that's it.
Or maybe all the number ones are trying to be the first one to win with him. They want that notch on their bedpost.
Ryan Palmer, who would know? Man. Sorry.
All right. No, you're fine. Moving on. At 22-1, we have Gooch and Homa. Also 22-1, Lowry and Poulter. 25-1, Varner and Watson. 25-1, Neiman and Pereira. 35-1, Hatton and Willett. 35-1, Riley and Zalatoris. 40-1, Ann and M. Anybody in that field that you guys like? Johnny?
Yeah, I think there's two that I'm targeting here. I already bet the Davis Riley Will Zalatoris team. I think this could be where you see Zalatoris get his first win. He's got the teammate, that he can kind of lean on there. And not to say that Davis Riley's got any sort of experience or anything like that, but maybe a little bit of pressure is going to be off him. Come the weekend there, and we've seen teams like that contend. That you've had players like that have had success, and then also I'll go with the Jaco Neiman, Mito Pereira, two guys I've always talked about. I like them. Jaco's playing good. Mito had a pretty good event here. Played well at Harbour Town, I think in the first round or two, something like that. So hit the ball well. Two good drivers of the golf ball. They could get the ball in the hole. Hoping being from the same country, they room together on the road all the time. Hoping that a little bit of a good chemistry there, and I don't mind the number at 25-1 there.
Phil, agree, disagree?
I mean, Johnny picking Neiman and Mito is absolutely the least surprising thing on the podcast since we've started this podcast. I mean, that was when I saw that team, I'm like, oh my God. So I like Gooch and Homa at 22-1. Mm-hmm. It's probably a little lower than I think it should be, but I like that team. Johnny talked about driving the ball this week is important. I like both of those guys. I like both those guys as birdie makers. And I want to go back real quick to the format. Best ball and alternate shot. If you can shoot 2 to 3 under total and alternate shot, that's good. over 36 holes. And as long as you're shooting 9-10 under in best ball, I think you'll be in the mix. I think Smith and Leishman went at 20 under. So if you just kind of do the math there, if you just don't blow up and shoot 4 over on alternate shot and shoot around even, you're doing good. Echo Johnny on Riley and Zalatoris. Love that group. I think those guys are buddies, big Corn Ferry guys in 2019, 2020. I like that group. And low key, I'm kind of high on Sanjay and Ben On. Ben On's playing great golf on Corn Ferry Tour. He'll be back on tour. He might. Actually, I don't know. He might have earned a promotion. I thought if he finished in the top, did he not yet?
Not yet. He was real close because he's got the win and he finished like third, I think, this last week. So he's going to make it, I think. Right. But
yeah, so I think we might see him a couple more times periodically on the PGA Tour schedule this year. But I think he's always been a really, really good ball striker and really struggled with the putter. But these two guys have played on the last President's Cup team down in Australia. I think they're a good pairing. I think they're comfortable with each other. So I like them at 40-1.
I like those picks. I need to know what you guys are always picking Zalatoris. Am I totally blind to him? It's every week.
What is there not to like?
Talking about, well, I guess I look at him and I think I see a guy that I see 20 guys better than at every tournament he plays in. And I don't know.
I think he's
maybe
one
I'm blind.
I think he's one of the 20 best iron players in the world right now. I mean, he's just and he hits it a mile, and he hits it even farther this year than he did last year. I just think he's got the tee to green game that's on par with most of these guys on the PGA Tour. And we saw that last year, a couple years ago on Corn Ferry, how he got the promotion. And I think he's got that part of it, and he just hits it. I mean, on the screws every single time,
mm-hmm.
and I mean he's played well at some tough golf courses that require good iron play.
When you said
fair enough,
20, when you said 20 best iron players on tour, did you mean top 3? Like
this,
I put him with Morikawa and JT.
Yeah, I probably should have said 10 for sure, but yeah, I could put him in probably the top 5. You're right.
I think he's that good. He's second on tour this year, strokes gained approach. He's first strokes gained tee to green on the season. I mean, I just think he's that good of a ball striker. I think he's super, super elite and 170th in putting, and that's really it. That's the only thing holding him back. He's average around the green, getting up and down. I just think once he figures out these 5-footers, I think he's going to win a lot. I'm huge on his upside. I think he's got I wanted to go big. I was going to say number 1 in the world potential, but maybe top 5 in the world potential, like ranking wise, for sure. Okay. You hate him, and I respect it.
I do not hate him. I do not hate him by any means. It's just he's never. Obviously, I enjoyed watching him play at the Masters that year, and I enjoy watching him play. But he's just never a guy that has. I don't know. He just hasn't crept into my brain as a guy that I trust yet. So I think maybe I need to start paying attention a little bit more and listening to you guys. Fair. And maybe
that's fair. Again, he had his chance at Farmers, lost to Luke List. I mean, you probably shouldn't lose to Luke List in a playoff there.
That's fair enough.
I'm glad he did, though. Really glad he did.
That helped you.
For me, at the numbers that we were just discussing, I also pretty much just like on and in. That's what I had written down. I like them together. They tend to play well together. I think this is either definitely second year in a row. I think I've seen them play together, maybe the third. But at that number, that's about where I look. Moving on to, let's just say, 45-1 to 65-1. You're looking at McDowell and Powell at 45-1, Bradley and Steele 45-1, Sig and Straka at 50-1, Merritt and Streb at 50-1, Laird and McNair at 50-1, Kirk and Todd at 50-1, Clark and Tringale at 60-1, Bizendehout and Schwartzel at 60-1, Kazire and Poston at 60-1, Hadwin and Svensson at 65-1. Jeez. Gim and Schwab at 65-1, and Mitchell and Schnedeker at 65-1. That was a lot of people. Phil, anybody you like there?
Yeah, some tough names in there too. Not really. I'd probably go with my Canadian duo, Hadwin and Svensson. I've been big on Hadwin lately. I think he's been playing great. Johnny and I have talked about Svensson. That's sort of our deep guy that we like to talk about. That's like a 200-1 guy. I think they've both been hitting it great. I don't think they're going to win the event, but plus 500 for a top 10 would be, I think, something that you could look at with those guys. But I think that's it in that range. I'd target a team down the board later on that I really like, though.
I'm interested to see who that is. Johnny, who is
two teams I like, don't love, so I'm not going to bet them to win. But the Brendan Steele Keegan Bradley team, they finished fourth last year. I think they've got good chemistry, and not what worries me about is the form. You know, whether they I don't think Brendan Steele's been really playing that well, at least that I've seen in the past couple months here. But them finishing pretty well, you can look at them in top 10 or 20, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with. The other one I looked at is the Poston Kazire team. Pretty good ball striking team there. JT Poston played well on Sunday at Harbor Town, and Kazire's been relevant, at least, you know, making cuts here recently here. So I think they're pretty good buddies too. So again, with I do like the chemistry there. Again, I don't think I like him as a win bet, but we'll probably look at him in some capacity.
I'm not sure I really like anybody to win in this range whatsoever. I may be talked into like a top 10 bet for plus 350 for Kirk and Todd. Chris Kirk is a guy, unlike Zalatoris, who's for some reason always does pique my interest. I'm not saying he's better than Zalatoris. He's not. Aside from that, I mean, like a team of Mitchell and Snedeker could play well, but that would just be a shot in the dark as well.
Was it Kirk or Todd that you were comparing to Zalatoris?
Well, Kirk. I mean, I wouldn't compare either of them to Zalatoris. I was simply saying that unlike Zalatoris, Kirk somehow floats into my head as a person I bet, even though he's not better than Zalatoris.
Okay,
it's just my mania.
I thought you were kind of doing like a Brendan Todd comparison with Zalatoris, and I was going to be like, "Oh my God, that's so disrespectful."
No, he may hit fairways better, but nowhere close to the golfer.
Maybe, yeah.
And then I would basically just say from this point down, I'll just ask you guys if there's anybody that you like. I know, Phil, you had talked about having a team that you were targeting, and I'm interested to find out who that is.
Yeah, this is an auto play for me every year at this event. I think Johnny, if he thinks about it hard enough, knows probably where I'm going. But Ain't No Hobby and Mr. Scott Brown. They just do it every year at this tournament. They're great guys, great guys in their own right. Great buddies is what I was meaning to say. And they've been playing together since this event started in 2017. Kisner had the memorable hole out in 17, yes, the first year, which is probably still the hallmark moment of the event. They didn't even win, but I just like their game together. Neither are long, but they get the ball in the fairway and they make putts in this tournament. So 100-1, I'm going to just auto bet them to win and see if they can finally get over the hump.
Yeah, I think you could bet those guys in multiple, you know, bet them to win, bet them top 10, bet them top 20. I mean, 100-1 on that. I think this is kind of a big deal for Kevin Kisner. I mean, he plays, they say he plays the match play format well. I think he's just a good best ball, good alternate shot player. I think that's where he excels. And it just so happens that the only events in that are match play that have that type of format there. And he said it, when he gets on a golf course that he feels good about, I mean, look out. I mean, he's not built for a lot of these golf courses, you know, because of his length, but if he sees one that he likes, he's good. And I think this is a pretty good barometer, a showcase for a President's Cup captain or a Ryder Cup captain, to show that he's really good in this format, because you got to be good in best ball, you got to be good in alternate shot both ways to have that versatility. And this is why I think he could be on a team, not because he's a good match player, because he plays Austin Country Club well. It's something like this, is that he when he's comfortable with the pairing, he has that. I mean, it seems like he plays the hit and giggle for money and plays it so well. So I'm going to bet him. I'm going to bet that team. I really, really like that. And I'm expecting some big things out of them. The other one I'm kind of intrigued at is the Joseph Bramlett Maverick McNeely team. Bramlett's a good driver of the golf ball. McNeely's just a good player all around. I could see them playing pretty well. I don't think this is going to be them winning their first PGA Tour event, but 75-1, you could get good top 10 or top 20 numbers off them, and I think they might win. If you find a matchup, something like that. So those are the two that I really, really, really liked, that have pretty good odds there, that I'm probably going to attack here, with my betting.
I have two teams down at this number that interest me, and not for wins, but for top tens. Tyler Duncan, top 11, got T for 11 at the RBC last week. He's playing with Shank, both Indiana guys. Potential top 10 and at plus 900, not terrible odds. And then the team of Cabrera, Bello, and Grillo, two guys that have shown to play extremely well at times, and both can get extremely hot. And to have them at 900 for a top 10, I think that's well worth a bet. I mean, if they get hot, they could win a tournament. So, I mean, even throwing a little bit of money down at the 180-1, but that number there for them was kind of, two guys that if you've watched golf for the last 5 years, their names pretty well. So that one was kind of surprising to me. Aside from that, really, there's nobody else down the board that I think that I truly love or feel all that confident in. Anybody else?
Yeah, I like Buckley and Smalley, two guys that I've talked about a lot here. Top 10 plus 800. I like them. Birdie makers is something, not just necessarily strokes gained off the tee or to the green, but guys that can fill it up and make birdies in a best ball situation. I like both of them. I echo what you said, Zach. Cabrera, Bello, and Grillo really stick out down the board here as two guys that have some notoriety, ball striking ability at 180-1. Higgs and Smotherman, SMU teammates on their championship team in 2014, along with Bryson. I think both have some capability of going low from time to time. Could be interesting to see if they do it together this week. I think that's about it for me. I appreciate some of the random partnerships down here. I see 26-year-old Lucas Herbert with 49-year-old Arjun Atwal. That one's like, how did that come about? How did those two guys figure out, I want to play with you at the Zurich Classic? That I don't understand it. I see Bill and Jay Haas, they're entered. That's cool.
Yeah.
Jay Haas, that's had to been like years since he's played in a regular tour event. It's amazing.
For sure. I have not seen his name. I saw that too, and I was wondering if there was another Haas son or if that was actually Jay. So I guess now I know it's Jay. Johnny, anything, final parting words, anything?
Nope, don't like anybody else down the board. I do like the teams though, and I'm hoping that this week here, this is going to change my views on this event, and then maybe next Monday I could come on and talk about it. How it wasn't that bad of an event here, but we'll see. It's going to have to change my mind though.
Listen, when Will Zalatoris and Davis Riley, after you've bet them, are in contention coming down the stretch, then you'll be watching.
This is going to be a top 5 event if that ends up happening. This is Willie Z's first win.
If Will Zalatoris wins this event, I will never speak poorly of him again. So, Maybe I'm missing something. I probably am if the two of you are telling me that I have consistently. So
Listen, I mean,
Anybody have any-
maybe we're wrong about Will, and maybe he's gonna go the rest of the season without winning, and then we'll go into 2023 and be like, is this guy gonna win? Like, what's going on here? You're one of the best ball strikers on tour. Why can't you win? Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know. At the weight, I mean, again, I think he's a future Masters winner. I think he's a future major winner. I'll put the 10-year bet down with you, Zach.
I'll take that bet. You owe me $5 anyways for.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a dangerous bet you made, but that's okay. I thought he was going to fold there at the end. So
yeah, that's what we do around here.
It is. All right. Well, I think we're about to wrap it up. Thank you everybody for joining us. And we should have picks up by Wednesday. And I believe that this is going to go up on YouTube by tomorrow morning. So thank you, Johnny and Phil, for joining me. And we will see you guys next week.